Hello, everyone. I was here to do some ponderings over 2024 and to talk a little bit about what's going to happen in 2025. And I actually started recording this video on January 1st. It seemed really fitting. And then I was just so rambly that I was like, I have to make a better plan. So hopefully I can keep on track here and give you a good view of both what 2024 looked like and what 2025 will hopefully look like. So, to review 2024, I kind of feel like we had to go back a little further and share a little bit more information about how Danielle's critters came to be and why 2024 looked the way that it did. So, in 2022, in March, I bought my very first gecko. It was this girl here. She was super duper tiny at the time, and we named her Splat because that was the noise that she made when she hit the hard floor at her old house. Thankfully, she's calmed down quite a bit as she's gotten older, and I say that as she's preparing to jump. But the breeder that I got Splat from talked to me about the fact that you could breed reptiles and make a living doing it. And it was something that I'd never considered, but I always had a passion for animals. So I went home and I spent hours and hours researching what that could look like. After lots and lots of research, I decided crested geckos were a bad way to go because the market was so saturated, and I chose that I was going to breed gargoyle geckos. And in 2022, I started gathering gargoyle geckos and breeding them. And then I came across a 15-year-old kid who was getting out of breeding crested geckos, and he sold me all of his crested geckos for one low price. So I did end up getting into crested geckos. And I spent the entire year learning how to breed and how to make sure I was taking care of them and had a good schedule for all of that. It wasn't until July of 2023 that we did our very first show, and we went and vended the Repticon in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had this idea that we'd get to a show and the geckos would fly off the table and the sales part would be really easy, and I was wrong. We paid more to be at that first show than we made, and it was definitely an eye opener. So in December of 2023, we actually moved from our Myrtle Beach home to this home here in North Carolina. And I got a reptile room out of it, but we moved to make sure that all of the things with the business were legal. And it made a huge difference both in the breeding space that I have, because I actually have a reptile room, and in all of our plans. I actually forgot that in spring of 2023, we bought a lot of corn snakes when Brian Barczyk was selling off a bunch of his breeders. And that let us get into the scaleless project. And we got our first snake breeders in spring of 2023. And while it was super duper sad that everything was happening with Brian, it was really awesome to get some of his animals. This is Bacchus, and he is one of the breeders here, and he came from Brian. And then we moved and we set up this room here for as the reptile room, and 2024 began. I was very unprepared for both the successes and the failures of 2024. So 2024's successes do include starting this channel, and I'm really proud that I did it, even though I wasn't as consistent as I wanted to be, and the channel definitely hasn't grown how I hoped it would, mostly because of that consistency problem. The other things that we did 16 shows over the course of the year, and I feel like we made a lot of good connections, both with other breeders and vendors and with customers. We have worked very hard to educate as we've gone along, and I feel really proud of all of that has grown and developed. We will be doing a similar number of shows here in 2025, though our long-term hope is that more of our sales can be online and less of them in person, because it is a lot of work to do an in-person show. Now, on the success and failures category, we did not have a good breeding year for the crested and gargoyle geckos. I think the move had a huge part to do with that really threw them off. And the other thing was that I didn't pair them as early as I'd planned on, because they weren't selling well enough. And then when they were selling really well, then it was already late. And so that wasn't a very good season there. We also didn't have a great season with corn snakes. We did pair our milk snakes and got 2 eggs, but they didn't make it. And we had only 3 babies of the Western Hognoses hatch out. But overall, they were all new species to work with, and I was glad that we got, somewhere. We also hatched out our first baby ball pythons. This little pie girl here is the only one that's eating really well yet. So that's why she's out. And they're fairly new to us. We had 3 clutches hatched, so that was a lot of fun. But definitely hoping for more of those things in 2025. So I will be doing specific videos going over what we're pairing this next year and the morphs that we are hoping to have because of those pairings. Obviously, my brother laughed at me a lot that I was counting eggs not only before they hatched, but before they were laid. And you can't guarantee anything, but we will be going over all of that. Now, I did want to let everybody know what species we will have that we'll be working with this year. We have a few things that are not quite old enough yet, so they won't be paired. And unfortunately, not everybody has made it through. Our female rosy boa did not recover from giving birth this year, and so she was the only one that we had. And while we hope to work with rosy boas again in the future, it will be at least a year before we do that again. The species that we are working with in snakes, we have a bunch of ball pythons that have still been paired and hopefully will be laying eggs here soon. We have Western Hognoses. There will be 2 trios of Western Hognoses. We have a pair of Tricolor Hognoses that will be bred this year. We have a variety of corn snakes, including 2 clutches that should be scaleless. And we have a pair of albino African house snakes. They're Kenyan reds, and I'm pretty excited that this will be their first year that they'll be ready to breed. I believe that is, and then the pair of Halloween milk snakes will also be bred this year, and hopefully we'll actually get viable offspring from them this year. We have a lot of Crested Geckos and Gargoyle Geckos. We do have a pair of Chahuas that are adults, and we have a pair of Chameleon Geckos. So these are the Eurydactylodes verdeli, and they've been paired for a while, but have yet to produce offspring. So this is Albert. He's the boy, and I'm hoping to get another pair so that we can try and switch them out to see if that will make it so that we get babies from them, because I'm really hoping that we get some babies from these guys this year. They're really amazing little critters. And then we have the emerald tree skinks. I also have we are working with 3 types of mourning geckos, and I have Indonesian Pacific tree geckos. Now those species aren't as handleable, but they're a lot of fun. Albert's not wanting to go home here. And then I also have sand geckos and dune geckos. So I have a lot of micro gecko and desert gecko species that I'm going to be working with. This year we are looking at filling in some of the holes in our breeding program, but we're going to try not to expand into too many different species. I have a hard time not getting excited. Like, I would love to work with red-eyed crocodile skinks, and I know that they're not great pets because they tend to hide all the time. You can set them up in they do better in beautiful bioactive enclosures, so you'll at least have the beautiful box to look at, but if you can't see the cool dragon inside, then there is an element where that's a little disappointing. And there's part of me that hopes that the more that we work with them and get further and further from the wild-caught blood, because most of them are wild-caught, the more likely we are to see them. But there's always the possibility that they'll never be great pets to look at, let alone to hold. We also got, and this is the first time I'm actually mentioning it, even though I had planned on doing a video to introduce them. a trio of cat geckos. They're Malaysian cat geckos, and I thought they were super duper cool. And they are when you see them. However, most of the time you don't see them. So I don't know if that will change. The trio that I have is also wild caught. So maybe as we get further away from wild caught blood, that will change. Or maybe they'll just not be all that exciting. I'm hoping to produce captive bred of those as well. So all in all, 2025 is looking like it'll be a really great year, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of it with you. I'm really going to try to stick to a Tuesday video that goes over things that are happening around here, and a Friday video that goes over educational stuff. So like this week, I'm working on tips for handling your corn snake. And I have lots of other good care guides coming up and other handling tips and more food tips. So lots of great stuff happening on Fridays. And then I recorded a lot of videos that never got edited, that were primarily things that were happening around here. And those will be bonus videos for a while as I get them edited and posted on an extra day. So if you have made it this far and have not yet subscribed, it would mean so much for me if you just hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave me a comment or ask me questions. I really do love interacting with everyone. And I really do hope to grow this channel in 2025. Along with my other online content, I'm working on being on Instagram regularly. My husband and I are working on setting up lives that we'll do here on YouTube. And we are also working with Palm Street to get live shows and auctions with Palm Street set up. So we're really excited about that as well. 2025, I'm sure, is going to be an amazing year. And I really hope that it's a fantastic year for you as well. Have a wonderful day.